And then how about the brushing part of the brush knee on the completion of the brush? Sometimes it ends up in the wrong place. And in repulse the monkey, the same thing applies. So you want to demonstrate a brush knee, Mina? See. Yeah, so you have a right and a left side, so you stroke around. So this front hand shouldn't go back where the hip is. It should stay out in front. The brushing knee, you brush it once you brush the knee, it shouldn't be back here like in repulse the monkey. Your hands, that's what Rob is. Well, it needs a little bit more of a wave when we're doing the repulsive monkey. There's not much sinking of the elbow in many cases, right? So you can just do a few more. Minor, you want to watch see how they do with the repulse the monkey. We step forward a little. See, because 24 movement form only has a series of postures that are repeated. So you part the horse's mane, you repulse the monkey, or strum the lute. There's not that many postures. So it's all timing. So here at the end of that movement, you should sink and settle into your final position. So the elbows and the knees have to connect. So in the end movement, you should have to finish your elbow. No, on the last movement is this. This is your last movement. Yeah. Once you're here, this is your last movement. This is your last movement. Yeah. Yeah. So Colleen, do it. Do the repulse the monkey. Yeah. You do the repulse. Yeah. Yeah. So your pause in the final position needs to be a little longer, because you're not finishing that final position, because the elbows are not working at the end. Yeah. Okay. Next, grasp the sparrow's tail. Let's do the tongue, ward off, roll back, press and push. So do the right side one, then we'll do the left side one. Okay, ready? So hold the ball. Let's try holding the ball again. Yeah. So they call holding the ball because it's round, right? A ball, unless you have a flat ball, it should be rounded. So when you initiate the movement, you have to create a roundness in your position. Yeah. Just do it a few. Yeah, do both sides a few times. Let's see how they look. So how about grasp the sparrow's tail? You see anything that can help to improve the motion? Yeah, pong. You know, when we move, is the size matter? The size matter? The size of your movements? Size of the movements matter, Irina? Size of the movements matter, Colleen? No, well, that's just one aspect, but the size of your movement should be relative to the size of your space, not or size of your body positioning. So if you're moving, you have to kind of keep that in mind. Otherwise, the movements can be too big, you know, and it could be too shallow. Say going into single whip. Okay, we're going to go to single whip. Let's try that. Yeah, go from single whip, go to a leaning position. So don't over lean. You should still stay. You shouldn't be leaning like this. You should still be more in the vertical position. It means get more knee into it. Your wrist can be higher than that, but you should relax the shoulder. Shoulder's not relaxed enough, so you're not sinking your elbow. When you go into single whip, this arm is like dead. Yeah, so you should have the connection to the other side. And you should have something there. It's not that it's just flaccid. When you hold the wrist and you draw across, you still have to have something there. Right, and then this can be extended more, a little more extension on the hand. Yeah, and then relax the wrist. So that's a single whip position. Then we go into cloud hands, where we turn into cloud, go right from single whip into cloud hands. You initiate the movement. So looking at these cloud hand, what do you see? Too far away? But the arm position, see the arm position? What would you say? With the arms. So, size matters, right? Size and space. Too far away? Yeah. So when you do the cloud hands and your hands are out here, there's no structure integrity position. So it has to be relative, because if your arms are out here doing this, how can you sink your elbow? It's impossible to sink your elbow if your arms are out here. The reason why it's out there is because the elbow is not sinking. So you have to have the idea that when even if you bring it across here, you have to sink your elbow. You have to sink the elbow. And if you're out here, your rounded position shouldn't be here. Otherwise, it's going to look like this. It looks soft and it looks slow, but it's actually not good. So you have to dial in the position, the movement, and we're actually working a parallel footwork. The feet don't actually twist like in the way we do it, the Wu style. Yeah. So the upper hand can be more horizontal, but the thing is, it shouldn't be out here. Right? You see the difference between this and this? One's being led by the elbow, the other's kind of led by your wrists and how you turn. So that's cloud hands. That has to be here. Now you do your step. Do the step with your cloud hands. Ready? Step. So probably, when do you think the best time to do this? What do you think the best time to do this step is? Huh? Count on the weight of your arms, right? Yeah, so we're stepping that way. Yeah, so the step is going that way. So what would you want to do? Yeah, you step and you turn. So if you look at, say, a concept, if I'm turning here and I'm starting to step, isn't this the balance point? So if you're finishing your movement, then you're stepping. Then there's going to be a mistimed movement. It's not really a compensation for the balance. Right? Then when you step to here and you transition it to here, this is when the bodies align on the side. And then we turn, and then you have this relationship where you're weighting and unweighting. So when I'm unweighting, I can reach out. When I touch down, I can be light. So right now there's a lot of double weightedness in the footwork. So there's a lot of double weightedness in the footwork. So that's what you try to avoid. So that the reason for that is because all you're trying to do is create fluidity and motion. Fluid motion, to a novice would look very good, but actually the structure of the motion has to be balancing and shifting, and you're centered and you move. You should be connecting the two sides as you move. Then you have balance and motion. So because we talk about this and the concept is there, it isn't understood. So if it's not understood, you can't feed the body the right information, so the body can't really understand what it's supposed to be doing. So here again, Arthur, you're not sinking your elbow. When you get to here, if you don't relax the arm and shoulder, then you're not going to get the downwardness of that motion. So it's something that you maybe didn't realize that it's not happening. But you have to sink the elbow in order to create the dimensional change. This is horizontal right to left or left to right, but what happens when you go up and down? You have to sink, right? So when you step out, we're centered here, and I'm ready to go there, you see. So that's a timing. So after you finish the sequence, you know the sequence, then you have to build your timing. So the idea of sinking, release the tension in your elbows and release your knees and so forth. That's the idea we all kind of try to capture. But the thing is, do we capture it as an integration? That means your elbows and your knees have to be working together, and if they don't, then that's something you have to work through to change your execution. Otherwise, it's not going to improve in some ways. So let's grasp the sparrow's tail. If we look in the mirror, right? Holding the ball shouldn't be like this. Shouldn't be flat like this. If your ball has volume in it, it should be like a ball. This is a hoop. This is a hoop. This is a hoop. But when you hold the ball, it has to have volume. You see, this is flat. This is flat. This is full. So the fullness of the ball not only is that it has the top of the ball, the bottom of the ball, it also has a forward part of that ball that is captured in sort of just that holding of that energy sphere, right? So when you go to a position, it looks and it feels like you have a ball. If you go like this and it's just kind of there, it's not the shape that it. You see what I mean? So, Tai Chi sphere is that when you move, you have to experience that feeling of what that feeling. So when you're here and you hold the ball and you create that roundness and you go ward off, pound, that should be from here stepping and then going out and up. And then you turn and you stroke down. Stroke down, and then your hands stay connected, and they fold, then you press, and you at the wrist or crossing the forearm, and then sit back and go over. So you try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. Next, other side. Step. Draw back. And go forward. So typically, when you step forward, you shouldn't straighten out and step forward. You have to create that step. So that's sometimes missing in the footwork. So let's try it again. Go step back a little. Okay, ready? Try it again. Do a 1 and then step to the other side. Okay, again. So watch Minor do a step. Watch his footwork. Here, you're going to turn around. Yeah, turn around. Face down. So watch his footwork. You saw because he's in this corner, you're not just stepping out and like that. There's no connection to the hips. You have to bring your arc. You have to come out and then step. The stance, your foot has to come to the outside of your foot. You can't get to the outside of your foot if you're facing here. Your hips are here. If you just step out, it's here. So you have to pass through here, and you have to open it up. So that's why it looks like you're making an arc. And you keep it as close as you can to the floor. So it requires a great deal of strength in your leg. So that's not open enough, Irina. You have to bring it out at least 3 inches past the heel. Yeah. A little more. More. Wider, but by the hips. Turn your hips. If you just try to do it with the leg, it's not going to turn enough. You have to add the hip. You have to pivot in the hip. Yeah, even more. Your knee has to come around. So that means you have to sustain your weight on a little bit more. This way. Yeah, there. Yeah. because he's not used to it. Yeah. So Eddie stands too narrow too. It's because of the hips. If you don't open the hip, see, if you look in the mirror, this is the hip position, right? If I turn like this is the hip position. This position and this position is narrower, right? There's narrow here than here. So if I just do this, obviously it's going to stay like that. When I turn my hips back to here, that already widened the stance. So when we're here and we step up, that's how we get to that side. Because if you don't step out with the hip, now the reason why it feels unstable is because the upper body's not turning with it. So if you're going to turn this way, then your body has to turn the other way. Now you more balance on the front position. Yeah. So when you step, now when you turn the hip this way, you turn up because you're counteracting this position here. You feel it, right? Because without that, you're going to be off balance. Yeah. Yeah. So when you're here, I'm stepping out, so then I have to, right? If I turn with the body, you're going to be like this. See what I mean? So you have to keep your body from turning prematurely. So those are the things that help your body form, but it counteracts your actions because there's no balance between upper and lower right now. It's just upper or lower. So if you're doing cloud hands and you're just kind of stepping through it, even though you're turning your waist, but then there's no connection because the hands and feet are moving at the wrong time, it can't connect. So the whole idea in Tai Chi for upper-lower coordination is the hands and legs have to synchronize in balance. So that's what we're trying to do. When you step backwards and you sink and you lift, you have to pass through center like a wave. And then you have to sink back here. And then you go through and then relax. So you finish the movement so that when you finish the movement, it has a structure, it has energy in the movement. But you have to sort of in the motion. Yeah. So, you know, even stork flap swings, when you step up, you have to sink here. Yeah. Look at your feet. See if it's wide enough. Did you turn your hips so that the foot comes out to here? So when you step up and you turn, you don't have to put your foot down here and then not have time to open up the stance. You're still turning to here. Because the first thing, you step up, strum the lute. Okay, where are we? Yeah, so no, what is stork flap swings? When the what off, then we step up, and then we can put everything down together. The toe, the hands, and the hips, everything will relax. You should still be in the floating stage until you settle. And then when you turn and create the brush knee and the wave. Okay. And soften the elbow a little. See, you have to regulate your strength. That's the whole problem doing any of this, is learn to use the correct strength. But then it can't be too deficient and it can't be too, rigid in the elbow and can't be too far away from the body. And the legs have to be connected to the upper body. So that's, those are the sort of the first basic fundamentals. But the form, everybody knows it. It's just how do you improve it? By just doing it 2 or 3 times a week, or 2 or 3 times a day, because it's not going to evolve unless you have something to change. So what do you have to change? Your legs, the coordination, the elbow sinking, relaxing it, the fullness of the space, the movement. All of those have to change. So you have to reposition, repattern a lot of movements as the next stage of development. And that's really kind of interesting that it does happen. But you first have to be aware that you're not doing certain things, and then you do it. All right, we'll bow. So is Kim here today? Kim didn't come? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So we'll line up rather than